The death of Princess Helena. Princess Helena, a member of the British royal family, faced personal losses during the Edwardian era following Queen Victoria's reign, with the deaths of her son, Prince Christian Victor, and her mother, Queen Victoria. She lived a quiet life with her husband, Christian, supported charitable causes, and maintained a close relationship with her nephew, Kaiser Wilhelm II, before passing away at the age of 77 in 1923. Her funeral was meticulously orchestrated, with King George V leading the procession, and she was initially interred in the Royal Vault at St George's Chapel, before being moved to the Royal Burial Ground at Frogmore in 1928, securing her lasting legacy within the British monarchy's history and traditions. Following Queen Victoria's reign, the Edwardian era began. During this period, Princess Helena faced significant personal losses. Her beloved son, Prince Christian Victor, passed away in 1900. And only 3 months later, her mother, Queen Victoria, also passed away at Osborne House on the 22nd of January 1901. The new monarch, Edward VII, had distant relationships with his surviving sisters, except for Princess Louise. Notably, Queen Alexandra harboured jealousy towards her sister-in-law and did not extend invitations to Sandringham. Alexandra also never fully forgave Helena and Christian for their marriage controversy in the 1860s. Helena found herself distanced from her surviving siblings and continued her role as a supporter of the monarchy and an advocate for numerous charitable causes. She and Christian lived a quiet life, but did fulfill some royal duties. On one occasion, they represented the king at the silver wedding anniversary of Kaiser Wilhelm II and Augusta Victoria in 1906. During this era, Helena made a poignant visit to the grave of her son, Prince Christian Victor, who had succumbed to malaria while serving in the Second Boer War in 1900. During this visit, she met South African Prime Minister Louis Botha, though Jan Smuts declined to meet her, partly due to bitterness over South Africa's loss in the war and the personal tragedy of losing his son in a British concentration camp. In 1902, Prince and Princess Christian relocated to Schomberg House in London, which is now partly occupied by the Oxford and Cambridge Club. Before the outbreak of World War I, Helena was one of the few maternal relatives with whom her nephew Kaiser Wilhelm II had a close relationship. When Wilhelm welcomed his first child, he caused a family scandal by asking Helena, not his mother, to choose a nurse for his son. In her later years, King Edward passed away in 1910, and the First World War began 4 years later. Helena devoted herself to nursing, and requests for information about loved ones reached her and her sisters. The decision was made to forward these letters to Crown Princess Margaret of Sweden, since Sweden remained neutral during the war. In 1916, Helena and Christian celebrated their golden wedding anniversary, even though Britain and Germany were at war. The Kaiser sent a congratulatory telegram through the Crown Princess of Sweden, with King George V and Queen Mary present for the occasion. In 1917, as a response to the prevailing anti-German sentiment during the war, King George V changed the family name from Saxe-Coburg in Gotha to Windsor. He also renounced the family's German titles and styles, resulting in Helena and her daughters being known as Princess Christian, Princess Helena Victoria, and Princess Marie Louise, without territorial designations. Helena's surviving son, Albert, fought alongside the Prussians but declared that he would not fight against his mother's homeland. In the same year, on the 28th of October, Prince Christian passed away. Helena's final years were marked by disputes with commissioners who attempted to remove her from her home and Cumberland Lodge due to the expenses of maintaining her households. However, they failed as clear evidence of her right to reside in these residences for life was presented. On the 9th of June 1923, Princess Helena breathed her last at the venerable age of 77 within the confines of Schomberg House. Her passing marked the end of a life that had been closely entwined with the grand tapestry of the British royalty and history. Her departure from this world set the stage for a solemn and meticulously orchestrated funeral, a final act that would be etched in history as a magnificently stage-managed scene, as recounted by her biographer. At the helm of this poignant occasion was none other than King George V himself, leading the ceremonial procession to pay tribute to the departed princess. The regiment that held a special place in Helena's heart, the regiment of her cherished son, Prince Christian Victor, stood in formation, lining the hallowed steps of St. George's Chapel at the illustrious Windsor Castle. In the wake of her passing, the initial resting place chosen for Princess Helena was the royal vault at St. George's Chapel, where she was interred on the 15th of June 1923. This was a moment of closure and reflection, as the princess found her temporary repose amidst the distinguished company of other royal souls. However, a poignant chapter was yet to unfold in this tale of remembrance and veneration. It wasn't until the 23rd of October 1928, when the royal burial ground at Frogmore was consecrated, that the next chapter of Princess Helena's journey began. The ceremony marked the transition of her mortal remains to their final abode, a few miles from the historic Windsor. It was a moment that bridged time and memory, a testament to her enduring presence in the annals of British history. In the serene and picturesque surroundings of the royal burial ground, Princess Helena's legacy was laid to rest, ensuring that her memory would forever remain entwined with history and traditions of the British monarchy.